Hello, and thanks for coming to this presentation from Durgo Food Safety and the Smallholder Food Business Development Institute. I am Dr. Michelle Fannin-Steele, and we are going to dive in today to how to write specifications and win customers without absolutely losing your mind. So, why do we do this? We write specifications because they help us gain customer loyalty and trust, and they help us stop going insane. Because, folks, there is a better way for you to be presenting your information out there into the universe. Do you ever feel like you never get to talk to your customers the way that you want to talk to them because you keep going over what your product is like over and over and over again, and you never get to tell them all the amazing things that you love about your product? You're stuck talking about packaging and how big the pieces are and your meat protein ratios and things like that. Well, if you want to change that, you can define your products so that you can actually bring in sales. You'll earn more money, you will spend less time, and you're going to have valuable customer relationships where you're actually out there building the community that you always wanted to build and creating those deep and meaningful connections with the world around your food. And in this workshop, we're going to solve all of those problems that you have of actually going out and getting customers and telling them what you make so that you can sell to them. But the first thing is we've got to get over the overwhelm. Like, you don't even know where to begin with what you are doing. And we're going to help you through all of this so that you can create the wealth and community that you have always dreamed of. But my question to you is, do you want to do that? Do you really want to overcome your overwhelm, or do you want to be in your story so that you can build the business that you've always dreamed of? If you do this, you'll be able to write all of your own specifications, and you are going to know the exact steps on how to have conversations that you want with your customers. But here's the thing, you have to pay attention. No multitasking. Go get yourself a pen and some paper, close your phone, and remember, I am a Yankee. I talk super fast. I want to tell you that as you start doing this, your brain is going to start screaming at you. It's going to say, this is a terrible idea. You should go into the kitchen. You should cook. You should be doing like your Instagram pictures. You should go do like Facebook Live. You should do anything except sit down and do this. Be uncomfortable and do the work anyway. So are you with me? Are you ready to get started? Because this is really going to be a super amazing journey. So who am I? I'm Dr. Michelle Fannin-Steele, and I'm a life coach, and I'm a food safety systems subject matter expert. Okay, I know how to put together production systems so that you can make the food that you were meant to make. But here's the deal, is that most people think what's standing in between them and building the business that they were meant to build and getting their food out there, they either think they lack the perfect food or they lack a food safety plan. All right, the answer is you don't lack either one of those things, okay? I have products where I basically give away my food safety plan, so you need a HACCP plan. I have templates that you can just download. What happens is that foodpreneurs dive into overwhelm and they do all the things that are not in the least bit helpful for actually getting their product out there and on customer shelves and in the hands of paying customers. And that's why I'm a life coach. I am here to help you solve the problems that happen between your ears. You've gotten this far doing all the things that you're doing, but the reason that you need coaching is because you don't understand how you are out there creating your own results. And when we clean that up and you understand how you're creating your own results, you can do anything that you want. This transformation is available to anybody. I've had it in my life and it's absolutely amazing. And I'm so excited to do this work within the foodpreneur community because the transformations around wealth and community that my customers have is absolutely life-changing. So that's who I am and that's what I'm doing out in the universe. And I'm doing this, and I'm doing this particular webinar because so many of my clients come to me with problems that specifications could solve. And as a matter of fact, once you start showing up to your specifications, all your other problems are super easy to solve. And so that's why we are doing this first. I'm instituting a rule in my company that unless you come to me having gone through this video or any other training, doesn't really matter, unless you come to me with a specification, I'm actually not going to take you on as a client. Because I'm done with people diving into overwhelm about their packaging and about how they want to cook things and all of this sort of stuff. Done with like diving into the overwhelm around it. You have to know what you make. It's the first question I ask all of my clients. And we ask it first because without knowing what you make, I can't tell you how to make it. So you must come to me knowing what you make. And if you don't, I have tons of free resources out there. I have a YouTube channel, I have a podcast, I have a Facebook page where you can just ask, okay? Come to me with your specifications done, and then we can have a conversation. Why is that? Well, here's an example of a fisheries client that I had. They had no idea what they made. They had a client come to them and they said, we need a third-party audit so that you can get to this new big customer. And we sat down and we actually wrote the specifications. And from writing those specifications, we wrote the whole food safety plan. They passed their audit. They got into the marketplace the way that they wanted to. They sold to that customer. They're repeating the process this year and it's going just fine. So let's dive in and create one really super great specification. This template is available for free. You can download it after this webinar. I have it all over the web. If you can't find it, send us an email at training@dirogofoodsafety.com and we'll get it to you. So there are only 3 secrets to writing a really great specification. 1, you got to understand they are more than just for the big players. Specifications are actually how you narrow down your niche and start discovering how you solve problems for clients. And the more niche-y your product, the more narrow that you define it, the more money you will make. The money at the end of the rainbow is not in commodity foods when you are starting out, I promise. It is in making one thing and making it the best thing that you can make and charging a lot of money for it. All right, so that's the first secret. The second secret is that specifications actually allow you to decrease the overwhelm. It creates very, specific things that you have to do, and now you just have to sit down and do them. And the third thing is that your clients have absolutely no idea what you make. And I'm going to explain later about why they don't care either. So you're going to have to explain to them what you make in terms that you have no idea that you need to do it right now. All right, so secret number 1, let's dive in. Your specifications need to really describe your product. However, don't put in proprietary info. And what this means is it's not your recipe, it's the results of your recipe, okay? Because not only are customers interested in solving problems, they're only interested in results, all right? Your recipe is not your result. Your packaged food is your result, and that's what your specification has to describe. I hope that makes a lot of sense. If it doesn't, always ask questions. So We around here write ISO compliant specifications. And ISO is the International Standards Organization. You can go Google what it is, but it came out of the Navy in the 70s after the Vietnam War to basically ask the question, did the Navy buy what they thought they were buying? And all ISO specifications have to conform to a whole bunch of things, and you can go read about them, but this is how we've implemented them here. And at the top of every specification, we put in what, like who's approving the spec, what the document number is, because if you don't have documentation numbering now, you will need it eventually. Dates of when the spec was written and implemented, which spec it replaces, and what the title is, because you got to know what you're making, right? The person with the responsibility for the specification is the one that signs it in. And know now whether or not you're going to need to pass an ISO audit. All right. If you're going to need to pass an ISO audit, that's a Global Food Safety Initiative audit, because you want to sell in Costco. Know that now, because your specifications become even more important because you have a really massive third-party audit you're going to have to pass. Okay, so implementation goes right here. So whoever is in charge, final in charge of implementing this spec and saying, yes, this passes spec. This is normally the head of QA. All right, documentation numbering. Documentation numbering does not have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be 2.4, 0.6, 0.8, 0.9. All right, those drive me absolutely insane. You can make your document numbers very plain. You could put names in them. You can, as long as people understand what the heck they are, it doesn't have to be complicated. All right, I work with clients whose document numbers are the document title and the year. That's perfectly acceptable because it tells everybody what it is. All right, you're going to implement this first, and then you're going to look at these yearly. That date goes there. And then you actually have to know what your product name is. All right, and that's the title of this specification and the log. All right, so next thing that we put in there is product names and ingredients. You may or may not have product numbers. You can put your SKU numbers in here, but don't go overboard. If you're different sizes or different SKUs or whatever, you don't have to put all of that stuff in here. That's a little too overwhelming. The point is to capture information that is useful to your client. Do you have a brand name of your product? Put that in that space. And if there's a product title, and it's different from the brand name, which, like occasionally happens, like you have a way of referring to this internally that you haven't referred to before, put that in there. Product description. This is where I need you to actually get super specific. Is this a ready-to-eat product? Is it a not ready-to-eat product? Is it, like, what's the, is it a snack food? Is it a meal kit? Is it a bag of granola? Like, how would your customer describe this product? Put that in here. All right, net weight. Net weight is super important if you're making consumer packaging, because you can't short weight, my friends. It's one, illegal, and two, a really good way to piss your customers off. So understand what your net weight is and understand your tolerance for it. All right, if you're making a 4-ounce bag of beef jerky, your tolerance cannot be plus or minus 2 ounces. That's a 50% tolerance. The industry standard, my friends, is 6 sigma. All right, and that is 6 decimal places behind the zero of net weight tolerance. Now, I totally understand nobody's going to get to that at the beginning, and that's totally fine. But be reasonable. If you have a 4-ounce package, your tolerance can't be much more than plus or minus 0.2, which really at some point means you have a 3.8-ounce package. So better get your labeling within your tolerances. All right. And then what are your ingredients? There are many things for which you are making, especially if that's combined, where you have to understand the ratios of your ingredients. If you're making a trail mix, you need to know it's 60% nuts and 20% fruit and 20%, I don't know, shredded coconut. Okay. Put that there, put those ratios there in the ingredients, all right? Usually ingredients go in decreasing order, and put them in there that way because that's the way they're going to show up on your ingredients panel, all right? And we need all of your allergens in bold, and I'm going to go over that next. All right, so this is your allergen declaration. Allergens are the leading cause of food safety recalls, okay? Having allergens in your food and not declaring them is illegal and an awfully good way to kill somebody. So we have allergen statements. Are you making allergen statements on your food? If it's present, you have to write down what the allergen is, okay? So butter, milk, if you have eggs are pretty obvious. Wheat, don't, you gotta be really specific about wheat, different kinds of soy products, what kind of tree nut you have in there. It's only really one kind of peanut. Shellfish and scalefish, there's a whole set of rules around what you have to have on fisheries labeling, but you gotta write the common name of the fish and keep it, and make it so that it's understandable. Please understand, molluscan shellfish are not allergens. So when I say shellfish, I mean crustacean shellfish. That's it. All right, so if you have those in your ingredient list, you got to have an X somewhere on that top line where it says present. Maybe present. If you are manufacturing in a place where they're manufacturing bunches of different things at a time, or you are manufacturing bunches of different things at a time, you can put maybe present. And everybody sees this as manufactured in a place where they're also manufacturing nuts and wheat and dairy, all right? You can put those on there. You cannot use that labeling to get out of doing adequate cleaning. Neither the FDA or the USDA is going to let you do that. So if you don't make more than one thing at a time on a line, for heaven's sakes, don't put maybe present on there because it's not saving you from anything. And finally, absent. If you don't have any allergens, that's amazing and makes your life a lot easier, and then just put an X all over the bottom of that. Okay, so dairy allergens, butter, and that sort of thing. Shellfish allergens, not molluscan shellfish, but only crustacean shellfish. Scalefish, this is all your whitefish and your ground fish, histamine or non-histamine. All right, storage and usage. You have two different kinds of storage and usage. You have your interim customer, which is your warehouse, and you have your person who's going to eat it. So the person who's going to eat it, if they're going to consume this out of the bag as a ready to eat food, write that down here. This doesn't mean you're putting it on the label. It means you're putting it on the specification. All right. How is your consumer going to store it? Shelf stable, in the refrigerator, in the freezer. Put that down there. All right. If you have shelf life studies and you're not just, kind of assuming what the shelf life is, put in that supporting data right there. All right. Your warehouse, hang on, let me go back to that. Your warehouse has directions for use, not really, but storage. They got to know if it's shelf stable or refrigerated storage as well. All right. They absolutely have to know the shelf life because that's really important for their first in, first out and how they do their warehousing. All right. Nutrition information. There are tons of labs that will help you with nutrition information. This has to show up somewhere. If you need help finding a lab, then get in touch with us. There are labs in your state. Here in Maine, we use Northeast Labs. All right, that's so much of the information. I kid you not, there's so much out there that you already have in your brain, and all I did was ask you to write it down, and you can do this. So I want you to be excited about this because you're doing it. You know all of this stuff, my friends. So let's dive into secret number 2. All right. Secret number 2 is you've got to make the time by decreasing the overwhelm. What is standing between you and amazing things is your overwhelm. This is true of almost every single one of my clients. And what we do here is we decrease the overwhelm. All right. And this is mostly where people dive in and flip out. So here's the deal. you must have lab tested traits, all right? You're basically not selling anything in the marketplace that doesn't have lab tested traits. What does that mean? Well, it means that there are specific results that you can have in your food. And unless it's Salmonella, Shigatoxin, E. coli, or Listeria, the results are not zero. Now, there are other microbes and other microbial hazards that you may put in here, but these are kind of the common ones. Your total plate count, I'm going to not allow you to dive into overwhelm, all right? Your total plate count for most people starting out is less than 10,000 colony-forming units per gram. And there's an AOAC methodology, which I don't know off the top of my head because there are a lot of them, and all of them are acceptable. Yeast and mold, same thing, less than 10,000 colony-forming units per gram. Generic coliforms, this is a measure of how dirty everything is. This is less than 10 colony-forming units per gram. E. coli, also a measure of how dirty things are. And this is also less than 10 colony-forming units per gram. And why less than 10? Because that's what we call the limits of detection on most of the tests. Salmonella. You can't have salmonella in your food if you have a ready-to-eat food, all right? And if anybody approaches your food as a ready-to-eat food, then you've got to, keep salmonella out of it. Lots of different ways to do that. If you have a raw food that is not commonly eaten raw, all right, so if you have doughs and things like that, people snitch dough, you can't have salmonella in your food. All right, so results is absent. Shigatoxin, E. coli, STEC, also illegal to have in your food. STEC has to be absent, and Listeria, if you have a ready-to-eat food, also must be absent. Okay, those are several reasons why everybody gets recalled. All right, so the methodologies. By and large, y'all are going to know your methodologies, but guess what? As soon as you send your food off for testing, your laboratory is going to tell you their methodology, and it's going to say AOAC or FDA BAM. Those are two of the most common ones, all right? And you write that down here. Okay, so send your food off for testing, and then write down the AOAC number that the laboratory gives you back, okay? So you can find that info from your laboratory, like I said, but you can also Google it. You can ask, look, ask on Facebook. I'm on Facebook all the time. Come ask me on Facebook. This information is out there. Don't get overwhelmed and say, I can't do this because I don't have a science degree. You miss more by not looking than by not knowing. Ask your customer for their specifications, because if you're going to be selling to them and solving their problem and they're saying, I need a spec from you, well, my friends, why don't you ask them for their incoming product specification? Just ask. Be brave, be bold, and just go ask. All right, next, organoleptic traits. These are testing using your 5 senses. You have to know these, okay? Not everything meat has all of these things that you can describe, but do the best you can, because you have to know by looking at your product that it is your product. If you make the time to do this, if you manage your brain to make the time to do this, you'll never have to do this again. You'll just update it yearly, and it probably won't change unless you have a recipe change. I know that sounds nuts, and I'm totally okay with that. That's why I'm presenting this first, so that people understand that. Because guess what? Your clients have absolutely no idea what you make the way you think that they do. What they care about and what solves their problem is how it's delivered, how it's cased, how it's packaged, how it's palleted. So put that stuff in there, all right? This also has pretty significant food safety implications. If you are doing a reduced oxygen package something, I assure you the FDA cares about that. The USDA cares about that. You gotta know what kind of films and materials and labels and how big it is, all of that sort of stuff. Because if you don't, your customer is not gonna be able to store your product, all right? So get your camera out and take pictures of it. You're gonna take pictures of your labels. You're going to take pictures of the packaging, what it looks like in the front and in the back, because God help you if you don't have this information and you need to run a recall, it's going to be a nightmare. I promise. I've run recalls without this information and I hate it. I hate running recalls to begin with, but if you don't have this information and you need to run a recall, it makes everything so much harder. Your clients need this information. So this is how you do it, all right? Secret number one, write the specifications so you look legitimate in the marketplace. Make the time to write the specification. That's secret number two. And use your specification and make it as easy as possible for your clients to access because they don't know what you make. All right, so this answers the first question I ask all of my clients. What do you make? And now that you know what you make, you get to stop thinking about it. And imagine how much you're going to get done when you get to stop thinking about your own specifications. Because then you get to move on and you get to go get customers with all of that amazing food that you're making. Because remember, people buy a solution to a problem. And you know this. You buy solutions to problems. Nobody buys food safety consulting. Okay, they buy a solution to a problem. Nobody buys life coaching. They buy a solution to a problem. You want to stop drinking. You want to, lose weight. You want to make more money. That's why you buy life coaching. You buy food safety systems because you need a HACCP plan. All right. You don't care how I write the HACCP plan or what font I use or by and large what software I use. You just need it to serve a purpose. You need it to solve a problem. All right. Your customers are the same way. So specifications allow you to stop describing the features of your product and start describing the benefits. And this is a way more fun conversation because that's what you're really after, right? You didn't start making food because you were like desperately in love with your recipe. You created your food because you wanted to create the possibility and potential of that food. You wanted to create a really big result with your product. What is that one big result? Because I promise people do not buy your food. They buy a solution to a problem. You can grow the world's most perfect tomatoes, and if it doesn't land on the shelf when the customer needs it, it doesn't matter. And you know that. So go out there and be that solution. Figure out what your target market desperately wants. If you were selling into wholesale, your customer needs everything delivered to spec on time. That's what they need. Okay. So you have to give them the spec and then you have to do all of the work to make sure you fulfill on the order. That's solving the problem. All right. And the spec is just the first step. So I want to ask you, now that you're going to stop describing the features of your product, okay, which is your ratio of meat to protein or the water activity or, how big the loaf is of bread that you're making. What are the financial, emotional, physical, and spiritual benefits of working with you? Because I promise your food has all of those. All right. There are major financial, I can describe all of these for my company. Okay. There are major financial benefits of working with Dirigo Food Safety and the Smallholder Food Business Development Institute because we make you more money faster. Okay. There are emotional benefits. We have your back. There are physical benefits. We literally have your back. Like you get less worker injuries when you work with us because you can't simultaneously do food safety well and worker safety badly. There are spiritual benefits of working with us because you are out there building the business that you were meant to build. These are amazing benefits, and this is what I'm after in the local food community and sustainable agriculture and food, is to help people be wealthy and amazing and put amazing food out there. Well, guess what? You can do that same exercise with your own food. Can you imagine what your sales conversations would be like? They would be so much more fun because you would be in service to your customers, solving your customer's problem. You're going to hand your customer your specification, and then you're going to stop talking about it, and you're going to start listening to them. You're going to start talking benefits, and you're going to listen to them about what problems they have and what benefits they need. So what is stopping you from doing this, my friends? I've got everything that you need. You can download it, and you can go out there and you can build and create the amazing business that you were meant to create. But you have to put in the time, you have to decide not to be overwhelmed, and you have to learn how to do it. And then finally, you got to be uncomfortable, and you got to do it anyway. And here's the time that you have to do, okay? It's going to take you about an hour to write the first one, and you're going to whine and complain. I don't care. Schedule it on your calendar, put an hour down for doing it, and decide you're going to get it done in an hour. And then schedule 30 minutes for every other specification you're going to do. Do it one step at a time. Do it at 10 minutes at a go, okay? Schedule an hour, schedule 6 10-hour increments of doing it, and just get it done and decide you're going to do it in that amount of time. The process of writing all food safety plans, just like writing a book, is you're going to think about it, you're going to write it, and then you're going to rewrite it. And that's totally fine. Once you get this done, it's going to be done for a year, and you're going to rewrite it next year, or at least you're going to look at it and update it a little bit. I promise you can do this. And when your brain starts screaming at you, it means you're doing it right. Stand in discomfort in service of your dreams and do it anyway. Go build the business that the universe is calling you to build, my friends. That's what this is all about. And if you want help with this and you've done your specifications, you are welcome to join our accelerator program, where we work with you one-on-one, and you come into the coaching program where we give you a year's worth of support to actually implement all the food safety systems that we give you. All right, you can go take a look at it at sfbdi.com/accelerator. Thank you for joining me, and we look forward to you sending us your specifications, because we'd love to have you as clients, but we're not taking you on into the accelerator program until you hand us your specifications. So if you have any other questions, this is me, this is our contact information. By all means, come on in. We'd love to have you here. Everybody have a great